Copyright disclaimer. Under Title 17, U.S.C. Section 107, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing, non-profit, educational, or personal use, tips a balance in favor of fair use. Okay, this comes from News 3 channel in Memphis. Scientology in Hungary recently celebrated Children's Day. No caps, which really gets on my nerves. June 8th, 2023. Isn't this great, you guys? I really hope Hungary knows what's going on. Child trafficking right in our faces. And interesting how they're wording things nowadays. Seems like they're getting nervous. Scientology volunteers. They had to make sure they said volunteers. You notice that? Not parishioners, not managers, not titles, volunteers. Scientology volunteers ready to distribute balloons on Children's Day. They're trying to lure children, to get children in. Scientology volunteer ministers gave children and adults balloons on Children's Day. It's just so tacky. And you know, the Scientology volunteers are only making $47 a day, or a month. So balloons are cheap. Budapest, Hungary, June 8th, 2023. On the occasion of Children's Day. I honestly didn't even know there was a such thing. The Scientology volunteer ministers, so they had to say that 3 times in the article. Almost like they're nervous. Distributed balloons around the church to children and grown-ups. Those volunteering had a very emotional day by creating smiles all around them. Since after all, Scientology founder L. Ron Hubbard once wrote, "When children become unimportant to a society, that society has forfeited its future." Oh, it's just so profound, isn't it? Wonder who he stole it from. And therefore, every opportunity or every excuse to promote the importance of children, you guys see what they're doing, right? Is a good time to grant them the importance they deserve. Thought they were adults in small bodies. In Hungary, Children's Day is a special occasion for every Gyrek, child. You should tell the Hungarians that children are adults in small bodies. A holiday set aside just for them. The importance of Children's Day in Hungary can't be overstated, as this is a time for parents, and the general population to acknowledge children's rights and make them feel loved. However, not every child today has the opportunity to be surprised with a present. Like the ones in the Sea Org? Even if they deserve it as much as every other child, because after all, it is their day. In the current economic situation, you know, they're seeing they're in. Some too many families are burdened financially. Oh, go into Scientology, you will be. And it's more difficult for them to afford a helium balloon. Is this a real news company? A very sought item by children on that day. Really? Because of that, Scientology volunteers, in case you guys didn't know, they're volunteers. They told us this 4 times now. In Budapest, decided to provoke smiles in children. Did you let them out of their rat-infested rooms? And went around the neighborhood with colorful helium balloons to give to all children passing by. Did you give them the way to happiness too? Ensuring that no one is left behind. Oh, isn't that a great thing to put in there? Without at least a balloon and a proper Children's Day feeling. You have your children Sea Org members out there? During the distribution, there was a grandparent who also asked for it for her grandson. Run, Grandma, run. Another antidote is the one of a car that stops at a red traffic light. This sounds like a Scientologist wrote it. It doesn't sound like a reporter wrote this. The lady jumped out of the car and ran to the volunteer. She had her 3 children in the car. And the volunteers saved her day. Oh, this is definitely a Scientologist wrote this. Because the 3 kids ended up having their balloons and were very grateful. They should try that in LA. It is, of course, not the material value of the balloon what counts, but the priceless value of the smiles of these kids. Said Palma. Well, that sounds like a Spanish name. One of the volunteers. I actually thought this was a news report. You can tell. Children's Day history. In 1857, Reverend Dr. Charles Leonard of Massachusetts preached a special sermon for and about children, which is regarded as the unofficial beginning of Children's Day. Several years later, in 1920, Turkey was the first nation to officially recognize Children's Day as a national holiday. Nearly a decade later, Mustafa Ataturk, then President of the Republic of Turkey, formally established this holiday. In 1950, the celebration began to extend to other nations. I don't know where the news story is here, and today approximately 50 nations observe Children's Day. Telling you guys, they're getting this from encyclopedias. Telling you, in some way or another, most often in May, and Hungary celebrates it on the last Sunday of the month. During this time period, Children's Day primarily served as a means to ensure that children were treated with respect and in accordance with their rights. Oh, something Scientology knows nothing about. The general health and well-being of minors was also emphasized. You guys see what they're doing. What is that called? They're trying to do public relations control. Hold on, guys. Okay, I did call it. It was from Scientology. I don't know why they're calling themselves News 3 here on the top. Something funky going on. A brief note about Scientology in Hungary. Oh, can't wait. There are already epic tales about Scientology in Hungary. Really? Epic tales. A nation that has cherished its myths and histories for centuries. Really? In the final days of the 1980s and at the beginning of the 1990s, totalitarian, atheistic communism retreated from Eastern Europe. Kind of like Scientology. A significant portion of Asia and Russia, long starved for spiritual... This stuff just makes me want to barf. Long starved for spirituality. I don't even want to read the rest of this. It's just too much. It's so much propaganda. So then further down, they're talking about drug prevention, which is not even a thing. It would be drug use prevention or drug addiction prevention. Human rights, which they know zero about. And I know a lot of them in there, they think they're doing good. If you're abusing children, you're nothing. Rescue operation in disasters, providing food where needed, except the homeless. They'll let them starve to death. See how they lie? So this is Scientology Europe. So anyways, guys, that's it. Got to get the children. I will leave the link in the description box. Like and subscribe if you choose. Otherwise, have an amazing day or night wherever you are.